We will return to our regularly scheduled program.
Please stand by for further details.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 5 of Tyler and Lynch on Standby. This is the green edition, if you're watching. We coordinated outfits, all green today.
Good.
That's because we got a special guest coming up. Our first guest interview, which we're pretty excited about, Jeremy Taggart, the former drummer of Our Lady Peace, host of the Taggart and Torrens podcast.
Owner of a MySpace page.
Probably. Producer Alexi is here. Once again, big thank you to 604 Studios and the Comedy Here Often Podcast Network for allowing us to use the space. And before we get into that, we got a couple emails to tylerandlynch@gmail.com. This one came in from Alicia.
Hey, Tyler and Lynch. I've really been enjoying your guys' podcast, and I just had to let you know that last week I had the song Peaches stuck in my head for about 4 days after listening to your review on it, Lynch. And I didn't have the Justin Bieber version stuck in my head. I had the Lynch version stuck in my head. So whenever I would hear it in my head or sing it out loud, I would have, a slightly offbeat rhythm and, questionable pitch and tone. But it was interesting that I had the Lynch version stuck in my head.
I gotta say, I've been the exact same since you did that.
Really?
I can't. Yeah, you same with you, Alexi? Yeah. I can't stop singing your version of Peaches.
I like the North Dakota line better.
Yeah, I think you should reach out. They can add that in. But I thought, after the losses this weekend, maybe you could do Peaches DMX style for us as a tribute, as a nice tribute.
What?
Yeah. Just do your best DMX, maybe.
I don't know if I can do that.
No. You definitely can't get away with DMX. You could probably do a Prince Philip version. I think that would be allowed, right?
Perhaps, maybe, yes.
You could do Peaches in your best Prince Philip as a tribute. All
right, man. How does it go again?
I got my peaches down in Georgia. That shit. Right. I got it.
Got my peaches down in Georgia. Oh, yeah, that shit.
Pretty good. Yeah,
something like that. It needs a little bit of work.
Yeah. Thank you to Alicia for that message. Also from the last one, we were talking about how when you die, I'm going to buy you a bench in a park.
Yeah.
Mike messaged in a bench, at least in Vancouver. I'm sure it changes from city to city, but in Vancouver, a bench costs $6,500. That's for the rest of your eternity. You have a bench.
Is that yearly rate?
I don't know. It was just a YouTube comment. It says a bench in Vancouver runs $6,500. I would imagine it's a one-time buy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people who sit on those benches, and a lot of people probably waiting in line to get their name on that bench.
You think so? They could just put in more benches.
Well, they could do that, but then there's never enough park of benches,
right?
With dead people on them.
So that's a little update.
Okay,
so
$6,500.
If anyone, we should start a GoFundMe for Lynch's death bench. Alexi, do you know how to set up those links? Can we set up that link?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll link that in the description or whatever. We'll get you a bench.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And then we'll work on killing you.
I'm doing that good on myself.
Yeah. And then we were talking about search history. That seemed to be a popular thing. The Lynch reviews thing, by the way, is people are requesting reviews. I got a request. Have you watched This Is a Robbery?
No, what is that?
It's like the world's biggest art theft story. It's like a new Netflix docuseries. Really? It's fascinating. It's great.
Okay, that kind of stuff is cool.
Yeah, see, but that's what I was like, I don't know if we need you to review something that we know is good. Like, I kind of like it more when it's something bad. There were suggestions to do more Harry Potter movies.
Gonna sit through those again?
Yeah. Send in your suggestions. I'm going to make you watch some stuff and we'll do some more Lynch reviews. People like those.
Okay.
They also like the search history thing, though. Carrie sent in this story, though.
A little while back, I started typing into my phone, I want to. I don't remember what it was that I wanted to find or know at the time. But the Google suggestions were a little surprising to me. So I took a screen grab of what came up under suggestions. I want to, number one Google suggestion was, I want to eat your pancreas, which apparently is a 2018 film. So
so if you type in I want to, the first thing that's going to come up is I want to eat your pancreas, which is a weird autofill.
Okay, that's a film?
Yeah, so I dived deep in this. And it kind of ties back into episode 4 about how you should review anime. And I kind of think you should review this anime film. It's
Where do you even find this?
I don't know. I'm sure we could find a link to it. It started as a book. It's called it started as Let Me Eat Your Pancreas. And then it became a movie called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. It's an anime film. Do you want me to read the plot here off Wikipedia?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Haruki comes across a book in a hospital waiting room. He soon discovers that it is a diary kept by his very popular classmate Sakura, who reveals to him that she is secretly suffering from a fatal pancreatic illness. Despite this, Sakura intends to maintain a normal school life and thus is drawn to Haruki due to his relatively unfazed reaction to her condition. It then goes on, and there's a weird twist in the middle. I'm not going to read you the whole plot, but it just says, later that night, Haruki is watching the news with his family, which reveals that Sakura was stabbed on her way home and that she is dead. He breaks down and does not attend her funeral. So it's called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and that's not what ended it for her. It was a random street stabbing.
Jeez, Mary and Joseph.
Maybe that's the anime film that we get you to review, right, Alexa?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No.
For sure.
God.
I want to know about it.
Pardon?
I want to know about it.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with the idea. Then he goes on and he becomes best friends with her best friend, apparently, and they didn't get along before. Honestly, it seems like a horrendous plot. That's why I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I spent far too much time looking into this yesterday.
I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
But
cool. All right.
Thank you, Carrie, for informing us of this film. Lynch's review coming soon?
We'll see.
Possibly.
We'll see. Send in other reviews, though.
Yeah, let us know.
Other things, maybe.
Send in your emails, tylerandlynch@gmail.com. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get in with our guest today once again. The man is Jeremy Taggart. He is the former drummer of Our Lady Peace, the Taggart and Torrens podcast, the book, Canadianity.
Yep.
They got an album out as well, a musical album called BAHDS, BAHDS.
Yep.
Like, what's up, Bod? It's a pretty popular saying in their show. It's Jeremy Taggart, everybody. When was the last time we talked? It's been forever.
Yeah, probably our show, maybe.
Yeah,
in Vancouver.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I don't know if you know the whole story behind that, but like, I didn't know that you guys were going to bring me up on stage during that show. And beforehand, we ripped a huge joint, and I can't be on stage when I'm high. Like, it just freaks me out so bad. And Lynch didn't tell me I was going to go up, and I really wish he would have given me a heads up, because I would not have got so high before.
I do remember your face when we said, "Come on up." You're like, "No,
yeah, I hate being high on stage. I don't know how you do it.
Like, what does that mean? Is there like some guy that you don't want to see in the audience? You know, like some your enemy that like you saw that if they see you, they're gonna kill you or something. Your face was like, I can't go up there. He's gonna see me. I'm gonna be dead tonight.
And then I get up there, and then like I just ended up, I forget what we were even doing, what the segment was, but I ended up defending Nickelback, and your audience was not having that. They were. I was like, I picked the wrong path here. This was not the show to defend Nickelback.
No, that's it. So yeah, that's why you don't do it when you're high, because all of a sudden you're just like opposites.
We have to defend Nickelback now. We're literally on Chad Kroger's soundstage at 604. So he's kind of our boss now. So
no way.
Probably my favorite band. Probably my favorite band.
You don't have to love the music to be a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. You were in the Hero video, weren't you?
Yeah. I'd like to consider myself an acquaintance of Chad. That when I see him, we have a few laughs, and I might rib him here and there, but he gets all that stuff. He ribs himself. That's kind of the whole beauty of it.
Right.
But he's a very successful dude. Like, seriously, the guy knows how to make a buck.
Yeah. How
did you get involved with that Hero video?
Matt Cameron, who played on the song, I was there when, like, at the studio with him and our mutual friend Greg Kaplinger, a drum maker and a buddy of mine from Seattle. So I went to the session, And then Matt had an issue, a family issue. He had to go back to Seattle. And he had, kind of as a favor and to do it. Chad asked me if I'd do it. I said, for sure. Absolutely.
Had nothing else on the go that day?
It was a good time. And I honestly, never was I more recognized on the street than after that video. Everywhere. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm in like 2 little snips of that video, but I'd be in like London and it'd be like, I mate, so you're in the hero video. Oh my God.
Do you think like if we could go back to the Our Lady Peace days for a second, do you think it would have been like, would you have enjoyed being in a band that successful in the internet era? Like, do you think that would have drastically changed? Obviously, would have drastically changed the experience. But do you think, like, are you happy that the internet wasn't as big when that was going around?
No, I think it would have been bigger, actually, easier for us because Our Lady Peace, as big as we were, we didn't get press. Like we didn't get Rolling Stone or magazines like that. We never got Spin or like no one ever came out to interview us. And I don't know why, but with the, probably Maida being annoying to in the press in the beginning. But, I think if the internet was going on, then we probably would have been way bigger because you see how it doesn't matter if you have press anymore. It's just if you can continue and people know about you, they find out online. So, and we were kind of into like the dawn of the internet, definitely. Because I remember like no internet on the feed. And then like all of a sudden during Clumsy, Mike Turner was like on the computer talking to fans. And that was basically the dawn of it where we had message boards and all that stuff. And that was kind of the way people were connecting at that time. But yeah, now you don't have the, I guess it's maybe the visual aspect, like when someone's just firing up their phone and now next thing you know, somebody says, some mates making some fun of somebody and it goes out there and you're canceled like right away.
You're just trying to rock a piss in an alley after a couple drinks and you can't even get away with it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, some big huge guy, you call some guy fatso and it's over.
The other time I remember getting real high with you was in Toronto. Another time, just like I don't think I'm as experienced with marijuana as you.
Why has every question been about getting high?
Because I need to clarify these stories. Lynch makes fun of me all the time for this. Like we met up in Toronto, and like first off, we started.
It's funny. CD is funny because we made a mustache on his face and then smoked it in a joint, and then oh no, he doesn't have a mustache again, so we have to put the weed there.
We need to clarify this story.
Yeah, set the story up here.
What was the album cover? What album was it?
It was Gord's Gold, I think. Like
right,
the one where
I think so. And you're like busting up weed on Gordon Lightfoot's face. And you're like, we'll know that we have enough weed when it covers his whole mustache.
Oh,
and
that's right.
So then we roll it up and we smoke it. And then I was once again just way too high. And then we ended up going to like some sushi place. Do you remember? I've never had cone sushi before in my life. I was way too young. It was way too fancy. You were talking to some guy that like owns a golf course that you knew or something. I was lost. The rest of the night is gone for me.
That's right, because you were like 18. I keep forgetting. I kept saying, you're like the kid, right? Like you're doing. Because I always pictured, because I met you through Lynch, I pictured like that age group. I'm like, oh, what? You're fucking, you don't even know who Gordon Lightfoot is.
Because you came back and you're like, yeah, you put it on like Burton Cummings' mustache. I'm like, no, it was Gordon Lightfoot's mustache.
Everybody knows when you're busting up weed, it's Gordon's mustache.
Burton would be a big, huge, that would be a big joint.
That'd be a blunt. That would be How did you guys meet? Like, because Lynch, you're in the radio industry for a long time. Like, I would imagine you were in radio when OLP was coming up.
Yeah, we just from interviews, I think, right?
Yeah, Taggart was like the interview guy for OLP. Like, you were always attending radio stations to do the interviews.
Is it because Rain made us so quiet that they don't let him?
Like I said, maybe because he was too grumpy or annoying.
He was grumpy a lot. But, Tags and I hit it off right away. We used to come into my old station in Winnipeg all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was always a good time for sure.
And then I mistook you for a homeless person. And then now we're here.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Did you tell Taggart that story?
Do you know that story? Do you remember the day you came by the Calgary studio and it's like the street side windows and you're knocking to get in, and I was in the studio and I was like, I'm not letting this homeless person into the studio, like, because there's a lot of homeless people in that area and we had never met before, and like you just kept knocking and I was just ignoring you. Like, and then all of a sudden I was like,
I can't wait to ignore you when I get in there.
Yeah. So then I like cracked the door and you're like, I'm here for Lynch. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't let you in, shut the door. And I called Lynch upstairs. I was like, there's like a homeless guy asking for you. And he's like, that's Jeremy Taggart. Let him in. So I'm sorry for that. I apologize. I'm glad we've got over
it. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember everything.
So you got the podcast, you and Torrens, obviously. You got the book, you got the album. You guys are doing lots. When did you guys, like, how did you and Jonathan ever meet? And like, where did the podcast start? We're new to the podcast world. We're figuring it out. What worked for you guys? How did it start?
I think probably through the Jay and Dan pod, because we knew each other before that. Originally through the Trailer Park Boys, came out and did some stuff with OLP in the early 2000s, like emceeing tour, the Gravity tour. And I got to know Jonathan around just after that time. And we always wanted to do something together, like some kind of, collaboration. And I think the dawn of podcasting, and I had a podcast by myself, and then I kind of started guesting on the Jay and Dan pod. And then I heard him on there and I was like, well, that would make it a lot easier if we did it together instead of me having to do it by myself, because he's such a funny guy. And every conversation that I had with him, we would laugh. So I was like, and I think if we just, record our conversation, like our weekly chat or whatever, that should be it. Like if initially we started having guests, and it felt like every time you had a guest, the thing that we were doing would go away and it would become about the other person for like a half an hour. And then we would come back, and it seemed more fun to be just messing around, and then booking guests was an issue. And then the technical side of having a third person and editing it all together, it just became so much of a hassle that we said, let's just try it without guests and see if it works. And it definitely made it better right away. We just concentrated on content to talk about, and maybe a game, and centralized the idea of it being the content is just our conversation. So whatever our reaction towards each other, we're laughing, so maybe other people will laugh. And I think that's also why people feel like our podcast is like they're sitting with us, because it's just, like sitting around chatting, having a laugh.
Right. And just to like clarify, Jonathan Torrens is who we're talking about. J-Rock,
yes.
Trailer Park Boys, John O'Vision back in the day.
Oh, hell yeah.
When you were touring like that, how did you feel about having like a comedic opener? Like that's always an interesting thing I see bands do. Like I hear about like
Nirvana had like Bobcat.
Yeah. And like, I've heard, I don't know. I've never been to a show where that's a thing. And I've done comedy, and I've been to lots of concerts, and I just don't know how it flows.
It's not a common thing, really, to be honest. Like you don't really see, unless it's like a big festival or something, they have MCs, but you don't really see. Sure, you see comedians, but you don't really see people from a TV show. And we were just watching the show and fans of the show, and trying to remember how initially Tim, our lighting guy, or our sound guy, Tim, was working with Sandbox way back in the day. So Mike Smith, Bubbles, who was the guitar player in Sandbox, Tim was their tour manager and sound guy back in the day. So we were watching the show and thought Trailer Park Boys' first couple seasons had happened, and it was just hilarious. And I was like, hey, Tim, like, why don't you ask those guys to come and, MC the Gravity Tour, just in between the bands, do something and chat it up, and people love the show. It'll be fun. And it kind of, they didn't know what to do. Clattenburg came with them. We ended up filming a never seen episode that's still on the cutting room floor, a thing called Peace in the Park. And it was a great time, a whole month of those guys with us on the bus. Like, Bubbles was stealing shopping carts and putting them in the bay of the bus. And just like really funny stuff. Us coming off stage and our rider being gone. And like, getting Edmonton Oilers jerseys with our names on the back. And like Ricky comes out and it's like says Maida on the back of his, he's hanging out backstage. Just really easy to put together, but really funny stuff that, hopefully someday it'll come out, but like that was a great time. And they worked up a set to do in between bands that they still do now live, like a lot of that stuff. So they didn't know what to do, but then they figured out what to do. And I think it kind of gave them the idea of live performance for their show as well. So that's the reason we did it. And it definitely, it was funny because the beginning of the tour, nobody really knew who the Trailer Park Boys were. But like by the end, they were bigger than us in a sense. Like we would go into Denny's and everybody would just rush to those guys. Like it was just crazy. We saw it just blow up.
Denny's seems like a place.
I was just going to say, OLP money gets you Denny's.
Well, and when you're on the road, I'd like to see you try and find something else for breakfast when you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's true. Lethbridge.
The Lethbridge Denny's. That's a place to get in a fight. That's the place where Marilyn Manson got beat up.
He got knocked out there.
Denny's.
Good.
Which, I was just going to say. Little foreshadowing there.
Footage of that, man. That'd be up there with Danzig. Remember when you see Danzig get knocked out? That video? He's like messing with some guy backstage, and the guy's like, "Fuck you, Danzig!" And like, knocked out. Like, yeah. I love that.
When you started the pod, did you ever think you'd turn into an author afterwards? Because you guys wrote a book. And then you got the album out now too. Like it's really way more than just a podcast at this point. You guys have created this whole base and it's everywhere. I think
it's we look at the podcast or whatever we do is just kind of this thing, and whatever we can build off of that. My background in the music industry and Jonathan's background in film and television. That's kind of why we tried to figure out, a book would be fun. We talk about our experiences, and that was a great thing that we did with HarperCollins. It was awesome. It was really good for us. And then to branch out to music was kind of the next step. And I think that was a great thing as well, because we play live, we perform music live. And it was just kind of an easy thing to add on to it. And it's too bad that it had to come out in the middle of a pandemic. But I mean, it's something that we have now and we'll build upon, and we'll definitely make more records. And it was a lot of fun to do that too.
The pandemic, how you're holed up in Ontario, right? You're at the lake?
Yeah, we're quarantined here. Heavy lockdown.
Yeah, but your place is pretty damn sweet though on the lake.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to be stuck in for sure.
Are you trying to sell that?
It's sold. I sold it in the fall.
Oh, you did?
I'm looking for a house right now. I'm here till July. So as it stands, so I'm renting my old house, which is pretty weird.
You know what like blows my mind that I didn't know until Lynch brought it up this morning, but like when you started playing with Our Lady Peace, like you were like what, 17 years old, Lynch was saying?
Yeah.
Like you were young, eh? Like how did you even get in to play bars and stuff? Like what's that process when you're like, you talk about taking me out when I was like young, like you were young when this all started.
Yeah, well, you go out when you go to the gig when you're loading in during the day, and then you leave at the end when people are, you know, going out. You don't ever go in the lineup where people go in. So that was my thing when I was younger, because I was even hanging out with, you know, musicians in Toronto that were playing live or had cover gigs. So I'd be going into bars, but you know, my thing was I never drank anything. I was never getting messed up or anything. All I did was just hang out with the musicians and sit in and learn kind of, you know, the idea of being a trade musician. And that's kind of what I was aiming at becoming, was just really any gig you can get, from cruise ship to Holiday Inn lobby. You know, that's primarily, you know, if you're a musician, you have to look at the reality of most musicians. You have to realize that you're going to do whatever you can do, whatever gig you can get. And it's not going to be, you know, a Keith Urban tour in the fall like that. That's not how it works. You have to, you know, do local gigs and a lot of cover stuff and whatever you can get. I mean, it's even more difficult now, but back then you could actually kind of make a living playing music and just, you know, going from one thing to the next in that industry. So I was expecting fully to just be that. And so I just was going from audition to audition, trying to find anything. And when the OLP one came up, it was just like a Now Magazine Musicians Wanted ad that they said that they had a interest from a label, and that was kind of like if you had interest from a label in the ad, it was like a, you know, a chip with fire ants all over it. You know, like it's just all of a sudden becomes 50, 60 drummers or bass players or whatever. So there was so many drummers there. I had to like have an appointment time basically. And my mom drove me there. I had my baseball K-Way jacket on.
Nice.
My championship, probably 1991 or something.
Not to brag. That's good.
Yeah, bragging my K-Way. And anyway, so yeah, my mom takes me there. I set up my stuff. It takes forever. And then I realized I forgot my hi-hat stand. So I'm like, oh no, I have to go get my mom to drive me back home to get the hi-hats. And at this time, there's like all adult male drummers, you know, from like metal banger guys in Speedos to like, you know, the guy with the glasses and the ponytail and the Jaco Pastorius t-shirt. Like they had the range of every kind of musician in this lineup of dudes that were coming and going. So I had to go back home. So they're waiting, and I go back and I finally sit down, and they were about 25 and I was like 17. So they were probably fully expecting me to just shit the bed, but things got going real good. Like I don't know if we, I think we were just jamming because they didn't necessarily know cover songs other than like a couple of Neil Young songs or something. So we just jammed, and it was great. Like it felt really interesting, and there was chemistry right away. So I went out of there feeling good about it, and I got a call back a few days later that I got it, and things kind of hit the ground running. We literally started writing Naveed in this little warehouse in Mississauga or like west of Etobicoke, and we wrote for like 3 months. And we, you know, during that time we signed with Sony, and I you know, I was finally getting paid because there was a budget, and I was actually I was so excited to be making $150 a week. I thought I was like just on fire.
At 17.
Yeah.
At 17. It's good money for 17.
What did your parents think,
that
man?
was it. It was, and slow. People probably wouldn't realize now, but it was a slow build at that point because the record came out in 94. We did have some airplay at radio, but we did have to tour the country about 4 or 5 times across and back in a little tiny van. And that's when I feel we kind of earned our stripes as a group, not just, learning to live with each other, but learning to play together and getting better as a band. And once we started to have some success about a full year later, and it wasn't until Starseed started doing well at radio in America, then that's when Canada just jumped on everything, and the Jets jumped on heavy rotation on all radio, and literally a heavy rotation on video at much for like frickin' 10 years straight.
Yeah.
From that moment on.
What about your parents? What did they think when you were 17 years old, going on the road and doing this stuff in a rock band?
Yeah, my dad was a drummer in the 60s. So he was a drummer that quit the music business because he felt like it just wasn't working out for him financially. So he was kind of bummed at the beginning when I wanted to play drums. But it was we had a whole past of baseball was it for him. He just wanted me to play baseball. So we practiced every single day. And when I switched from baseball to drums in my head at like 16 years old, there was a rebellion factor, I guess, with both my parents that they were really upset that I did that. But when the band started rolling and, they saw that we were playing big places and it was a legitimate opportunity, then they were like, super fans, like the greatest parents you could ask for, always wanting to know everything. My mom checking the radio, calling the radio, yelling
Was
at
she really?
DJs. Like she would be giving you guys shit if he said anything about me or someone in the band. Oh yeah, she'd be calling up and saying, "Oh yeah, I want you," and like she'd be calling for requests, and you're not getting play on CF&Y.
Your mom was your tracker,
which was totally not true. Like we were getting played 1,000 times a day everywhere. But if like somebody's like, if Brother Bill said something or something, she'd get all mad at him and say, "Why not Brother Bilge?" Like she would just like it got to the point where unless you loved OLP, then she was like that. She would become that DJ or video person's champion. Otherwise, it was like, look out.
I wish there was Twitter then. I would have loved to see your mom's tweets back.
Oh
in the day.
man, yeah, I could not imagine. Holy moly, yeah.
You should have pulled your
sure.
after the band. You should have pulled your Michael Jordan phase and went and played a little minor league ball. You could have pleased everybody.
That would have been great. Yeah, for sure.
I didn't realize you were such a big baseball kid or fan in general.
It was all. That's from like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all those to 16. It was every day, all the time. Like if I go back to a place that I used to live, I always go to the local ballparks because that's where the memories are, just of being there in the area. And so, it was a huge part of my growing up for sure. I mean, and then the traveling and the tournaments and, my mom would always keep score. So like, it was crazy.
Your mom is such a stat taker, man, in every shape.
She knew my batting average. Like she would keep all the. She's like, "Oh, you're batting 370. You're doing great." I'm like, "Wow." She had my ERA. She had everything. Like, because I was pitcher is what I did, and I was a decent hitter, but pitching was what I practiced the most at, and hitting and swinging the bat. But it was kind of like Ichiro styles. Like I wasn't a power hitter, but I could get the bat on the ball and I could place hits. That was my shtick.
This explains your athletic figure. I've been wondering how you maintained.
I got hidden barrels and real barrels.
You were mentioning before when you guys first started out, you were cross country here and there, like forever, just going back and forth, just touring out a piece. You have any good OLP travel stories?
You ever use a piss jug?
A piss joke?
A piss jug?
Piss jug? No, I don't. I've pissed in my share of cans and bottles for sure. But made a shit in a bag once on the bus, and then threw it outside. Threw it outside in the cold, and then I think it was Terry Sawchuk somehow. I don't know what happened. Terry Sawchuk was a friend of ours. He was sitting in the bus, and Rain went out and got the bag later, frozen bag of shit, and hit him in the head with that frozen bag of shit.
What?
That's what I remember. I'm pretty sure.
Must have
like not hard.
That's disgusting.
But it is totally disgusting.
That's got to be one of the worst things to get hit with. Like, I'm trying to come up with something worse in my head, and a frozen bag of shit is
like it's bad enough to shit in the bag and throw it in
then to use it as a weapon.
But to come back later and use it as a weapon.
That must have been wild, though, at that age. Like, just the touring, and the freedom.
Sure. 100% he would deny that story. Like, no, that did not happen.
Shut up, Taggart. I didn't do that.
An utter lie.
It's got to be a wild time, though. Like a band that successful, you're that young, you're touring, like just the freedom of it alone. Like most people, like even if you nowadays, if you move out when you're 18 is crazy. Never mind like touring the country like that with that much success. Like it must have been it must have been like overwhelming at times, I would imagine, or like hard to like keep a hand, like stay humble. Like how did you lose yourself at all in those moments? Like,
well, no, I think because what grounds me, period, is just drums and playing drums, and that's kind of what I get off on. And if I focus on that only as what I do and what I did in that band, it's literally that's anything outside of that doesn't mean anything, like your public persona or what you say, how you are, that's a thing. But like I'm saying, in terms of what you can control, focusing on drums is the best for me. Because if I was trying to control how people see me or posture myself in a way, you know what I mean? Like, how singers can do, where it's like you're trying to say something, but the listener understands you're trying to convey something instead of just saying what you mean. You know what I mean? There's a difference when you're like, and I'm not saying because I was in OLP, it's Rain. It's like singers can be like that, where they'll be like, here, listen to this song. And this is what it's about first.
Right.
Like, this is what our mind, I don't want to fucking hear what you meant. I don't care. Why are you trying to tell me what to think before I hear this thing? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be like that. It's very difficult to be like that. And then, wonder why, people get kind of gruffed up. Remember Jeff Martin was kind of like that sometimes.
Oh, the captain. The captain.
He'd be like
lead singer of the Tea Party,
crowd.
just to clarify.
It was almost like, are you not entertained? I remember once he just said,
how did you guys start calling him the captain?
At the stage, he just said, he would say, want some more? It's like, okay, all right, I get it, but geez.
Why did you guys start calling him the captain? Where did that come from?
He refers to himself.
What do you mean, you guys? I don't call him the captain.
Jeff Martin refers to himself as the captain.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I missed that.
Yeah. I'm buddies with their tour manager. And he tells me these stories about him. And he's like, yeah, the captain requests this.
Honestly, I kind of respect it. I want you both to refer to me as the captain from now on. At least the rest of this episode.
The captain left a bag of drugs somewhere in the van. You have to find it before we hit the border.
Sometimes people have their trips, and you got to let them have their trip. You want to be called captain? God damn it, right, captain. What can I do for you?
So what are you doing now, man, to keep busy besides the podcast? You got anything else going on? I know that you were doing stuff with Arkells.
You're kind of like the drum king, eh? Like
I wasn't
all
doing
the Canadian drum band.
You mean, I did stuff with the Arkells when they were first little babies starting out, when they were Charlemagne, but that's been a long time.
I saw a photo you posted a little while ago. Like you got all the like Canadian, not all of them, but a good chunk of Canadian drummers together. Like, are you like the godfather of Canadian drumming? Like everything runs through you? Like what's the...
No, I'm just one of many greats that are hanging. Like when we have those, the drummer hangs, which our bud Jordo from Young Classics Drums puts together with Danny from July Talk and Tim Oxford. It's just a bunch of guys in the industry that hang, and it's fun. And everybody's great. They're such great dudes and girls, and it's a good group of musicians, the drummers in Canada. I'm just proud to be one of them. I mean, there's so many legends that come and go. You just kind of walk amongst them, and that's it. You know, everybody talks about drums for 2 hours. It becomes like, if you're not a drummer, you probably walk out after 20 minutes anyway, because you get sick of hearing all the talk. That's why we don't invite anybody else.
So when you guys get together, how many of the drummers are late?
None.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's no such thing. When you're carrying your own time, who's late ever? When time is in your pocket and you can give it, like, I'll show you when I'm late. You're late. I'm not starting yet.
It's easy to be late when you got to carry all that gear. You got way more gear.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing that's a drag about being a drummer, is the gear is ridiculous.
Yeah. Man, this was wonderful. We were not going to keep you too much longer. It was so nice to be able to like chat with you, not in a quick 5-minute radio chunk. Yeah. So I don't know if we've ever talked for this long, sober at least. So yeah.
It's not bad. How are you guys liking this so far? This extension of yourselves.
It's fun.
It's the real deal, right? It's just you now.
Yeah, there's no rules. We kind of get to do whatever we want, which is nice. We could have, we don't have to like cut you off after 5 minutes. We can let you go and tell stories. And I don't know, man. We'll see. I think we'll still end up probably back in radio at some point. But for now, this is great in the meantime. It doesn't make any money, and the chairs are incredibly uncomfortable. But
that's true.
You know.
Well, you never know, man. You get those numbers up, and you never know. Hey, BAHDS, get
new chairs. Yeah. Or a Preparation H sponsorship.
Yeah, something like that.
If you're willing to, read about a Casper mattress for 25 seconds, you get yourself $1,100.
That's true, man. No free ads though, Jeremy. Come on.
Yeah, don't plug that yet.
No, but I'm saying that's how they do it. Like we actually said no to Casper because it's like, it just feels weird to like, all of a sudden you're reading some piece of paper that has nothing to do with the podcast. We've only done stuff with companies if they're willing to let us, either do the commercial or, let us do it in character or work it into the pod our way, as opposed to giving a sheet that, the same one that frickin' Joe Rogan reads. Like, I don't care about that. That's just like, it's so, it doesn't, I don't see how it connects with anybody,
Not as honorable as you. I'll take anything.
Money right now would be nice.
Yeah, honestly, mattresses, meal prep
your cat
kits.
Have lice? Well, you get down there, you get the best lice remover you can find. Bill's lice remover. It's like right away, as soon as the second line starts, everybody goes like, oh, waiting mode.
Oh, all right, my man. Well, we got to let you go here, but
No problem.
appreciate you doing this. It is nice to chat. Hopefully this whole pandemic wraps up soon and you guys can hit the road again with the podcast. The live show, by the way, when it starts back up, it's so fun. It's a really fun.
It's interactive. It's great.
Interactive. It's awesome. I think you guys do
Thanks,
such a cool
Bods.
job with it. So
Thank you.
hopefully those come back and tour the album, buy the book, listen to the podcast, all that stuff.
Hit up your website, buy you some merch.
Yeah.
Taggart and Torrens.ca with an N in the middle, bud. It's easy. Or, where you guys we're in your social media hangs. We're all together. It's easy to find us.
Yeah. We'll link it all. And thank you so much, man.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Thanks. Love you too,
bud.
brother.
Bye. There we have it. Episode 5 in the books of Tyler and Lynch on standby. Still on standby. No radio updates yet.
Not yet.
Big thank you to Taggart for taking the time out
What
to
a
chat
beauty,
today.
eh?
Yeah. Great guy. Great stories. Also, a big thank you to the Comedy Here Often Podcast Network. Make sure you check out some of their other shows. I know High School Sucked with Darcy Michael and Jane Stanton is crushing it right now in the charts. That's a fun show. I listened to the John Doerr episode, so lots of listening there. Big thank you to producer Alexi. Big thank you to Jim Bob John for the original music.
It's great.
And Jessica Wong for the graphics. And you for listening. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, comment, thumbs up, all that kind of
Tell
stuff.
your friends.
Tell your
everything.
friends. It really helps. And if you want to sponsor the show, please.
Reach out.
Yeah, we could definitely use that. And
Yep. TylerLynch@gmail.com.
more Chad Kroger talk in today's episode, but still haven't heard from him. So
No. Where's that guarantee at, man?
it's coming. He's going to be on. It'll happen. So Chad Kroger, we will see you soon.